Hey, T. Spillington here, and this is a doozy. Adopted son was promised to a girl at 6 years old by birth parents. I say that promise died with his birth parents. So there's a boy and a girl that have been promised to each other to marry when they both grow up. Short story, my wife and I are child free. We adopted our 14-year-old son. He is in college now. We live back in my hometown of LA. I learned recently that at 6, he was betrothed to a 6-year-old girl when they both lived in Myanmar or Burma. He will graduate in a year from UCLA. She's going to school to be a doctor in Denmark and has 4 years to go. Her scholarship requires her to work at least 6 years in Denmark as a doctor, something like that. I don't know the details. The argument was that they would marry when he completes college. Interesting. So it's an arranged marriage 20 years in advance. She wants to go forward with it. She is pretty and super smart. She would gain a lot because a doctor makes bank in LA. He is not interested because he has his pick of women in LA. Only he feels bad because in Myanmar, he is insulting her family. My wife is indifferent. He is like me. He will get a vasectomy, get married, and adopt a child in need. She is very conservative and wants to have a baby. This is a deal breaker. I see the advantages of him getting married to her. That said, I would never expect him to go forward with it. What would you tell him? I'm just curious. Edit for the Americans with poor reading skills that just assume shit. Number one, as stated above, I would never expect him to go through with it if he doesn't want to. Number two, he is 20 now and nearly graduated. We adopted him 6 years ago at age 14. He is way more mature and much better in school than most American kids. He spent the first 14 years of his life living in strict discipline before the adoption. So he's a kid from Myanmar. He's a Burmese child, right? And then this couple adopted him when he was 14. I'm guessing his birth parents died and the couple from LA adopted him. So since 14, his more formative years, his teenagehood, he spent in LA. And as we all know, LA will change you, right? He is closer to me. I wanted to adopt him. My wife wanted her sister to adopt him. He told me he was betrothed only a few months back. Interesting. I told my wife and she got excited. She wanted to see her son marry a girl from Myanmar, but later said she was indifferent when she learned that he said he is not interested. He's worried about how her family feels, not me. He chats with her all the time. They're more like siblings than a couple. He wants to get a vasectomy and adopt like his father, me. I don't know why. She wants a baby. He asked me for money to visit her. He has not said why. I suppose to get laid. He's 20 and that is how boys think. Did I simplify things enough? I sense a little bit of passive aggression. So maybe this guy already got a ton of weird comments and he's just like fed up with it. So what do you guys think? Drop a comment below and please subscribe if you're not already. Right? Should this kid have to marry this girl who he was promised to at 6 years old? Okay, I guess in their culture, in the Myanmar Burmese culture, that's how they do it. Families arrange marriages 15 years in advance or something. To me, it seems pretty straightforward. Like it's up to the son if he wants to go through with it. There's pros and cons, right? A lot of times these arranged marriages work out and the couples are happy together for the rest of their life. They kind of have no choice, nowhere to go. So there's no way out, right? There's no divorce for them and they're kind of just stuck with each other. It could be beneficial because, you know, it's his culture, right? Sharing that culture. So I could see that benefit being there, right? Because of the similar culture. She's a doctor. She would make a lot of money. He's a doctor. They would have a good relationship. They would be strong together. Now, on the other hand, I mean, he did grow up since 14. He's been in LA and it does change you. You know, it's an international city. Your mind is open. He's no longer that little boy from kind of Burma with his mentality. He is a young man in America. The world is his oyster. He can do what he wants. And apparently he has his pick of girlfriends, right? So I could see how he doesn't want to perhaps settle down. Now, they didn't mention at what age would they do this, because if it's at 30 and he has a decade to do what he wants and get experience and have freedom and date, right? Then that could be bearable. But if he has to make this decision at 22, let's just say 2 years from now, then that I could see that being a burden. It seems like also they've never met, but they've only chatted. So that's why he wants to go and visit her. I don't think it's necessarily just to get laid, as the dad puts it, but he wants to meet her. I'm assuming they haven't met. I would personally leave it up to the boy to decide. I wouldn't push him either way. And I think he's leaning towards not doing it, right? It could be a big mistake, but also losing her could be a big mistake, because if he doesn't go through with it, she'll probably marry somebody else and he'll end up doing his thing for a decade or two. And then all of a sudden be like, okay, well, I'm not happy. Where was this young girl that I connected with so well? So drop a comment and let's see what other people are saying. He's not interested. What's your question again? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. He never consented to the arrangement, so I don't think he should be held to it. I don't think anybody's really holding him to it. Only her family will be disappointed, and he's holding himself to it. So yeah, there's that. And he definitely didn't consent at age 6. Unless he's going to visit Myanmar, I don't think it would even matter to him. No, it wouldn't. I would inform him of any details that could affect his life, his culture, or family, and let him make an informed decision. I think that's all you can do. Most likely, he's never going to live back in Myanmar, maybe go for a quick visit, and only then it may be slightly uncomfortable. I don't think there's any big issues with it. I would tell him to do what he wants, but the two biggest deal breakers in dating, in my opinion, are religion and kids. If you can't get on the same page there, there's no way it's working. If the kid thing is absolute, no point in wasting any more time thinking about it. Yeah, so this is interesting. So for some reason, the dad decided to be child free, meaning he doesn't want kids. He got a vasectomy and then they adopted. So child free, and then you adopt. That doesn't really make sense, but whatever. So maybe he didn't want biological children, but he wanted to adopt and to help children in need that already are out there. So the son seems to want to do the same. So he wants to follow in his dad's footsteps, become a successful doctor or lawyer or whatever, and then get a vasectomy, not have kids, and then adopt. The girl, on the other hand, she's more traditional. She wants to have a baby. So there's that. I really don't understand the vasectomy child free kind of thing. It seems like they contradict. If you want to be child free and you don't want kids, why would you want to adopt, right? So you get a vasectomy, you don't have kids, you don't adopt. So I'm not quite clear on the situation here, but it seems like what she wants, which is a baby, and what he wants, which is no baby, but to adopt, like his dad, these cannot live well together. And if they kind of overlook this now and go through with the marriage, in a couple of years, this is going to bubble up and destroy their marriage. Tell him to make his own choices in life. It's his life. If he's not interested, what's the problem? So, guys, what do you think? This was a very light one, and it's an interesting one. I'm sure there's cases like that out there, right? What would you recommend in this situation? I look forward to hearing from you. T. Spillington, out.